So this evening, I was told about a scenario involving basically the distribution of food for the homeless, and I kind of flipped out on the person because of this, because I felt like it was extremely reckless and careless, and a total waste in my mind. And maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But basically what happened was they had a bag of food. I mean, it was non-perishable. Non-perishable, like canned food, whatever. And they left it sitting somewhere where they know there's one or two homeless people walk through there periodically. So they left it sitting there on the sidewalk. Now, it was under an area where it would be somewhat protected, like under I don't know what you call it. It's outside of a business. So that's the first problem. It was outside of a business. I don't think any permission was asked to do this, so that's a problem in itself. Now, I'm sure there could be arguments made for my methods as well, like, for instance, passing out gospel literature and tracts and stuff uninvitedly, because I do that all the time, almost everywhere I go. I joke and I say I pass out tracts the way Elvis used to pass out scarves. But, there can be arguments made for that. However, to me, I feel like if you're dealing with food, especially, there's a few things that need to be considered. One, the weather elements. If it's hot, if it's cold, if it's too cold, too hot, is the food going to freeze? Is it going to go bad? Is it going to get wet? All of these things that could come up. And like I was telling them, there are places in town, there's blessing boxes all throughout town, places designated for homeless people to get food from. And I know good and well most of these people who are on the streets are aware of these blessing boxes, because that would just make sense for them to know that. And if they don't, they need to be directed to one. And one thing I will say to everyone, if you pass by a blessing box, feel free to add a little something to it. As long as it's something reasonable, that's not going to be perishable, that's not going to go bad, that's not going to get affected by the temperatures, especially. My concern about this was there was no notification on the bag, no nothing to say, hey, this is free food. It's just sat there. So the truth is, anything could have happened. What if that person never walked by? Now, I drove by there after they told me this, the bag was gone. So, somebody could have picked it up and took it home, or took it and ate it. I don't know. But I also know it was outside of a business. And I know that if it's outside of a business and the people in the business see it, there's a good possibility, guess what they're going to do? They're going to see it, and either they're going to take it home, or they're going to be very suspicious, and they might call the police or have it thrown away because it just looks like this suspicious bag. They don't know if it's stolen goods. They don't know what it is. So anyway, there's so many scenarios that go into this. I guess what I'm driving at is for my ministry and for everyone else's ministry, and for anybody that's involved even minutely in this area of helping street people, helping people on the street, helping people who are homeless, down on their luck, whatever. We need to make sure we use some etiquette. We need to make sure that we have some guidelines in place. That is important, that we have some guidelines in place to do this stuff. It don't need to just be done like that. Like I told them, because you spent your money on this food, okay? I don't even care if you got it on clearance or something. You spent your money on this food. So it's the equivalent of me, I said $30, but let's say $5 or $10. That's like me taking $5 or $10 out of my pocket and just laying it on the ground and just saying, I hope the homeless person comes and picks it up. Oh, like what? That makes no sense. You just wasted $5, $10. You don't know who's going to pick it up. If anybody's going to pick it up, it could get washed away down the sewer. Okay, and you're out of the money, and you did absolutely nothing. It's the equivalent of what the equivalent of what the Israelites did when they were coming out of Egypt. Like literally, to me, it's that equivalent. Like when we're careless, when we're reckless, that's like saying, okay, we're just going to be like, we're going to Billy Preston it, and we're going to go around in circles. We're going to go around in circles and go around in circles and go around in circles, and we're going to be the hamster on the wheel. And it's okay because that's just the way we are. No, it is not. Okay? So there needs to be some guidelines in place. There needs to be some stuff in place. I've seen some really... this one took the cake for me personally, and because I'm so passionate about it, I took it personally. But I have seen other people too. I've seen some really, really reckless and careless stuff in street ministry. Okay, so all I am saying is there needs to be some etiquette. There needs to be some guidelines. You want to think about it this way. Would I eat that food? If this was me, would I pick it up and eat it? Is this good enough for me? Because if it ain't good enough for me, it ain't good enough for them. Okay? That's important. How do I want my food to be treated? How do I want the stuff that's given? Like if you're giving me clothes, for instance, I've seen this before. I mean, filthy clothes. Okay, why would you give me filthy clothes? You could at least wash them first. You've got a washer and dryer. Come on, you wash your clothes every week. You could wash these clothes. Okay? There's just little things. Think, people, think. And for those who are seriously in ministry, and I'm going to do this myself after this especially, I'm going to write out guidelines in my plan book for the ministry. But I'm encouraging you to do the same thing. If you don't have something written out, set in stone, that, and granted, it can be amended from time to time. It is a learning experience, but it needs to be specified. Like, okay, don't do this, don't do this. Like, okay, I went to Harvest. When was it? Was it a week ago? Yeah, I went there a week ago. And they were talking about a toiletry drive that they're doing, which is really great. If you know anything about their church, check into that if you hear this in time. But they're doing a toiletry drive for a lot of people in the community and homeless people and things of that nature. And they did say this. They said no items with alcohol are permitted, like hand sanitizer, stuff like that. Because those in recovery, they emphasize this, those in recovery could use that, or that could be a trigger for them to do something, basically. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of that. That's something I can say as far as like that part of the arena is something I'm still learning. I know a little bit, but I don't know enough to talk fully on it. So study up on that. If you got questions about that, go talk to some people who know more about it. That's all I'm saying. But my point is they had some guidelines because they knew their audience. They knew who they were reaching out to, and they knew, okay, we don't want to give them XYZ because XYZ could possibly not be good for them. Okay? So anyhow, like I said, it needs to be some guidelines, needs to be some standards set in place. And that's something I'm going to do for the ministry that God has given me and put me in charge of. So I just want to encourage you to do the same if you haven't already. And definitely feel free to study other ministries. Study other ministries and how they're doing it. Learn from what they're doing right. Learn from what they're doing wrong. Okay? And that's important. Learn. Observe. Yeah. So anyway, that's all I got to say. I know that's a lot. And, I probably got to go talk to the person, try to be like, okay, I'm sorry I was so harsh, because I was very harsh about it. But like I said, I'm very passionate about it. And just, don't be careless. That's all I can say. Don't be careless. Don't be reckless. Think very carefully before you do things like that. And think about it in the sense of, how would I want this? How would I want this? Is this good enough for me? Anyway, I think that's it. Y'all take care of yourselves. Treat each other with kindness. God bless you.